I'm going to give you 12 specific ways to get more from your executive assistant. And as a bonus, I'll share at the end of the video one thing that determines whether your EA actually works long-term or quietly falls apart. Now, I can speak to this from both sides of the table. I spent 8 years as an executive assistant myself, so I know exactly what it feels like to want to do more for the person you support, but not be set up to do it. And for the last 8 years, I've been on the other side, building and leading a team of VAs, supporting founders and executives, and consulting on how to maximize this kind of support. I have clients who stayed with me for almost a decade, team members who have stayed with me for 4, 6 to 8 years and counting. That kind of retention doesn't happen in this industry without real system behind it. And that system is exactly what I'm going to be sharing with you today. 4 pillars, 3 strategies each. Let's get into it. Pillar 1, your inbox. So here's how I think about it. Your inbox is basically a public to-do list written by everyone except you, sitting on your most valuable resource, which is your attention. And if you're the one managing it, you are spending executive level time on coordinator level work. That is the real cost. The biggest mistake I see is founders who technically have an EA but are still processing their inbox. They just CC their assistant when something needs to be actioned. That is not delegation. You are just creating extra steps. Your EA should own your inbox completely. So here's how you make that work. Step number 1, label by action, not by sender. So most people organize their inbox by who sent the email, by company name, client, and even by category. That system works for you. However, it does not work for someone supporting you. Set up labels based on what needs to happen. The first label is to respond. Those are the emails that need your attention and your response. FYI are things you were copied on but don't really need to act on. Waiting for a reply are emails you've sent that haven't gotten a response. Marketing are all newsletter consolidated in one place so that they're not scattered everywhere. Basically, when the labels tell you what to do, your EA can triage things without asking you every 5 minutes. And did you know that we don't need to do this manually? We use an AI that automatically organizes your inbox while your EA helps you stay accountable. Strategy number 2, have a daily sync with an agenda. So this one is not optional in the beginning of working together. This is the rhythm that makes everything work. Your EA should be walking you through what landed into respond, what they have already handled, and anything that needs your input. It doesn't have to be long. It has to be consistent. And this sync is also where you transfer context. Because here's the thing, your EA can only respond the way you do when they understand how you think. And that understanding is built in these daily check-ins, not just an onboarding doc. Strategy number 3, turn every handled email into a living SOP. So every time your EA handles a type of email, whether that's a speaking request, a referral intro, a client check-in, that response becomes a template. And that template gets documented by your EA. Over time, your inbox SOP becomes the most powerful tool your EA can use to move fast with accuracy and for any future support person to step in without starting from zero. I learned this the hard way. For a long time, I had no standardized process for anything. I was either overtraining people live or undertraining them hoping for the best. But the moment I started documenting as we went, that's when everything stabilized. Pillar 2, your calendar. So my standard here is simple. Nothing goes into or out of your calendar without your EA knowing. Because the moment you start side managing your schedule, accepting things directly, moving things around without telling them, you break the system. And then you wonder why things slip. When your EA fully owns your calendar, you get to do something most founders never actually experience. You just get to show up, fully present, not scrambling, not knowing what is next, because someone else is holding the whole picture. Strategy number 4, design your ideal week before you hand it over. So this is where most people skip a step. They hand over their calendar before even deciding what they want their week to look like. And then they are frustrated that their EA is filling in time wrong. Before your EA can protect your time, you need to define first. When are you doing deep work? When are you available for client calls? When is team time? when it's time for you, your rest, your family, for the things that keep you going. You build that structure first. And then hand your EA the framework to work within. Because without that, they're just guessing, right? Strategy number 5. Set a calendar complete standard by end of week. I hold my team to this standard. Before the week ends, next week's calendar needs to be complete. Every meeting has the right details. Every invite has been confirmed. Nothing is floating. That way, when you sit down at the end of the week to actually plan, to look at where your time is going versus where it should be going, you are not chasing down information. You are making intentional decisions. That is basically the difference between reacting to your week and designing it. Strategy number 6. Every invite needs context. No exceptions. This is a small discipline that makes a huge difference. Every calendar entry should have what you need in order to walk into that conversation ready. Who you're meeting, why, some background on them, relevant links, prep materials, the original email thread if needed. What I always tell my team is, if your executive opens their calendar and has to ask, wait, what is this meeting about? That is a gap. They shouldn't go hunting for context on a meeting that's happening in 2 hours. The information should already be there, waiting for them. Pillar number 3, how you hand things off. So here's where I see things break down most often. Not because founders are not delegating, but because they are delegating in a way that creates more work, not less. They hand something off with no context, no framework, no clarity on what good outcome looks like. And then when it doesn't come back right, they feel frustrated. What I believe is leadership is not telling people what to do. It is supporting them to succeed, and it starts with how you hand things off. Strategy 7, train your EA to bring recommendations, not just questions. This is something I coach on constantly with my own team and with every founder I work with. If your EA is always coming to you with, what should I do about this? 2 things are happening. 1, you haven't given them enough context to make judgment call. And 2, you haven't built that expectation that judgment is part of their job. The standard I set is this: low risk, reversible decisions, make the call, move forward, tell me later. High risk items, anything that touches cost, scope, or long-term direction, bring me a few recommendations first, not a question. Tell me what you think we should do and why, and only ask for my approval if you truly need it. That shift builds your EA's confidence, and it keeps things moving without you being the constant decision point. Strategy number 8, be explicit about your thresholds. Your EA cannot read your mind, and the fact that something seems so obvious to you doesn't mean it's obvious to them, especially in the beginning. What requires your approval? What can they handle on their own? What should they never do without checking with you first? When I work with an EA, I build this out explicitly. I do not expect them to figure it out by making mistakes. I tell them up front, here's where you have full ownership, here's where I want a heads up, here's where you always stop and ask. That clarity protects both of you. Strategy number 9, reroute communication deliberately. So one thing I've learned, and I tell this to clients all the time, you teach people how to treat you. If someone sends you a request over WhatsApp and you respond there, you just told them that is the channel. They will keep using it. And now you have business conversations scattered across 5 platforms that your EA cannot see or support you in. So when something comes in the wrong channel, reroute it. Loop in your EA. Move it to email. You can do it graciously. Something like, hey, better to email me so nothing gets missed on my end. Be consistent about it. Because your EA can only take things off your plate when they see what's on it. Pillar number 4, your communication rhythm with your EA. So if you've ever had an assistant and it did not work out and you are still figuring out what went wrong, this is usually where it happened, not in the work itself. It isn't the lack of consistent rhythm of staying in sync. Context doesn't transfer automatically. You have to build it deliberately. And when you do, something shifts. Your EA stops just completing tasks and start anticipating needs. They start understanding not just what you want done, but why. Who the people are, what the relationships mean, how you make decisions. I call this building a context map. The more your EA understands your world, the more independently they can move in it. Strategy number 10. Daily sync. Every day. I know some people will push back on this. I do not want another meeting. But this is not the status meeting. This is the transfer of context that makes everything possible. It doesn't have to be 30 minutes. It can be 10 or 15, but it has to happen consistently. What is the sync? What is in that sync? What came in that needs a decision? What your EA handled and how? Anything that needs context from you to move forward. It is also where you share things that do not come through from your email. The relationship history, the backstory on a client situation, the reason a decision was made in a certain way. That is the stuff that turns a competent EA into someone truly invaluable. And this only needs to happen in the first 30 days of working together. Then you can move to a weekly sync, whether that's via Zoom or Slack. Strategy number 11, be proactive with context, not reactive. So here's something I see a lot. Founders who have an EA but are waiting to be asked before they give information. The assistant asks, the founder answers. And it just keeps going like that. That is backwards. The most effective working relationships I've built are ones where the founder proactively gives context before it is needed, before a big meeting, before a tricky client situation, before a decision point. You are not waiting for your EA to ask the right questions. You are giving them what they need to handle things before they even become a problem. And this is what separates a transactional relationship versus a relational one. My clients have been with me for almost a decade. My team member stays for 4, 6, 8 years and counting. And that doesn't happen because work is easy. It happens because the relationship was built with intention. Strategy number 12, end every workday with a closed loop. This one is simple and is really powerful. At the end of each day, your EA sends you a quick rundown, not a micromanagement report, just a short note. Here's what got done. Here's what's in progress. Here is anything you should know before tomorrow. Why does this matter? Because one of the biggest reasons founders struggle to fully let go is that their brain keeps open loops. Did that email go out? Did we confirm that booking? Did someone follow up on that proposal? Those open loops are what keeps you on the clock, even when you're supposed to be off. When you know the loop is closed, when you have seen it confirmed, you can actually rest. You can be present. You can step away. And that is the real point of having an EA in the first place. So those are the 12. 4 pillars, 3 strategies each. Now I promised you a bonus at the beginning of this video, and it is this. The one thing that determines whether your EA works long-term is whether it is transactional or relational. A transactional relationship basically is task gets delegated, task gets done, repeat. No real context transfer, no investment in understanding how the person thinks, no trust built over time. And it works for a while, until something complex lands and your EA doesn't have enough of your world in their head to be able to handle it, and you end up back in the middle of it anyway. A relational relationship is built differently. It is built through regular sync up, the context you share, the way you give feedback, the way you celebrate wins. Yes, even the small ones. It is the reason why clients stayed with me for almost a decade, and team members who have no intention of leaving. People do not stay in a transactional arrangement that long. They stay because they feel invested in, trusted, and genuinely set up to succeed. And when your EA feel that way, they stop just doing the tasks. They start protecting your time like their own. That is the difference. And everything in this video is designed to help you get there. So if you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe. This is exactly what I talk about here every week. How to build that kind of support system that actually gives you your time back. I will see you in the next one.